Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Today I'm talking about feeling let down. I know that many of us feel let down by others. We feel let down because they said they're going to do one thing and they don't, and that can feel very overwhelming. And what do we do about this? How do we handle this? How do we process it? And then how do we move on? I believe that feeling let down is pretty normal. I'm not saying that it's healthy. I'm just saying that it's a normal thing. I feel like that happens more often than not in our society today and in our lives. People telling us that they're going to do something and it doesn't really ever happen. People telling us that they're going to take care of something and they don't follow through. And I feel like instead of just looking at this like, wow, that happened, it's like really taking a deep dive into it to understand why this is happening, why the situation happens in the first place, the whole process behind it. Like being able to really deconstruct this not only helps us to understand why this phenomenon happens, but it also takes the anger out of it, the sting out of it. But it also will enable us to turn around and look at our own life. And this is important too, because when somebody's letting us down, yes, it sucks, it hurts, does not feel good, it's not a fun experience, it's not something that we want to deal with, but we got to deal with it. But also, we have to sit there and look at our own life, like really think about it ourselves. Are we also contributing to this part of society? Are we also contributing to this type of downfall as well, based on our non-actions or non-committing or saying we're going to do one thing and not show up and do another? So why does this happen? Why do people tell us they're going to do something and then they don't follow through? Why does this happen? And that's a good question. And, I think we need to examine first off the concept of having a desire to do something and then losing that desire. And I think that is a big thing. I think that in the heat of the moment, in any sort of moment, when somebody's feeling really happy about something or really good about something or really, just a lot of energy behind something, a lot of us get ready. We're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so amazing. We got to do this. We got to do that. This is going to be amazing. This is going to be fantastic. Oh my God, yes, we got to do this. And it's so great. And everybody's having a good time. And I think in the heat of the moment, I think also when people are drinking or having fun, an idea or a concept sounds really good in the moment, right? But then later on, it might not sound as good later. All of us have been in a situation where everybody's having a lot of fun, you're having a great night, and somebody's like, yeah, we should all go to Vegas tomorrow, or we should all do this, or we should all go to this music festival, or we should all go whatever, fill in the blank. And at the time, you're like, this sounds great. Yeah, it could even be something as small as, yeah, we're all going to go over to so-and-so's house tomorrow and watch the game. And everybody's really, we're happy about it. We're all on par with it. We're ready for it. And then the next day comes along and, I'm just not really feeling it, or I'm just kind of exhausted. Or I got all these responsibilities I got to take care of. I really can't go over there and hang out all day, and so the whole thing starts falling apart. And the sad thing is you got people that really, really are still dedicated to the concept and still want to do it while you have other people that aren't. And it's hard. And so there you go. And I think that there's that desire in the moment to do it. And that's one thing that I've had to work on. And we're going to talk about that later on because that's something that I've had to work on and really focus on in the last several years is not jumping in on the bandwagon and saying I'm going to do something unless I really, really, really am going to do it, no matter what. And I have to sit there and weigh the pros and cons. I got to think about that. In the moment, I have to sit there and say, okay, this is the moment. We're all having fun. Everything is good. Life is good. But am I going to want to do this in a week? Am I going to want to do this tomorrow? Am I going to want to do this in a month? I got to really think about that before I jump in, give the high five and say, yes, I'm in. I think another aspect, too, is that many of us have symptoms and full-on symptoms or just full-on ADD or ADHD. It's really hard to focus, hard to get things done, hard to see things to fruition, to conclusion. And that's a big deal, is that, when you're dealing with ADD, attention deficit disorder, or attention deficit hyper disorder, it's hard to focus enough to finish something, okay? It's hard enough to do that. And sometimes, when we have these signs and symptoms, we might agree to do something, but we're already overwhelmed, we already have too much responsibilities, or we just can't get it together to get it done. And a lot of people deal with this. This affects a lot of people on a daily basis. And this is something that we have to really examine. This is something that we have to understand and really kind of compute and put together, because, if we have these, we need to be really careful about the things that we agree to do, the stuff we sign up for, the things that we say we'll be at, but we can't make it. And those are the things that we really need to analyze. Because there's a lot of people that have these symptoms of ADD or ADHD. Maybe, they've been diagnosed with it, maybe even on medication, and really working on cognitive changes to work with it, but still having problems, dedicating the time and attention to getting things done, or even following through with an agreement that they've made. And that's really tough. Another thing is just day-to-day responsibilities. I think that many of us have the desire, want, and, really care about helping or being a part of things. And I think we really want to be involved. We really want to be a part of things. But our day-to-day life is so packed. There's so much there. It can be really challenging to make the time and effort to get there to do that. And so, when you think about why somebody, why did they blow me off? Why didn't they get this done? What is going on? Why are they doing this? Also maybe at the time when you ask them, they may feel responsible. They may feel like they have to. And that's a big challenge too, when somebody feels like they have to do something. When somebody feels like they have to do something, that can be very, it can put us in a position, right? Anytime that you felt like you had to do something, or your back was up against the wall, how did you feel about that? How did you respond? I mean, did you have, the wherewithal to say no? Or was the idea of saying no very scary? Because I think the idea of saying no, sometimes we might worry, is this person going to take it wrong? Are they going to get upset with us? Are they going to get angry with us? How are they going to respond to the word no? And these are sincere questions that we all have. We don't want to upset a friend of ours. We don't want to upset the situation at hand. We don't want to make somebody feel lesser than or not valuable. And so we might say that we're going to take on something or do something that, quite honestly, we just don't want to do. We don't have the bandwidth to do. We don't have the time to do. We don't have the skill set to do. Whatever that looks like, it's just not something that we can take on. And that's challenging. Right? And so it's like when somebody agrees to do something, or they agreeing because they feel that they have a need to. They feel like they're responsible for that. And I found too that a lot of times when somebody feels that way, it's begrudging. It's not a positive thing. It's not a healthy thing. They're not like, wow, this is great. I'm so glad that I have this responsibility. It's more like, oh, God. Here we go. And I feel like, too, when somebody feels that way, we have to kind of work for them to see it differently. But if they can't see it differently, it's like you're dealing with somebody that's really just angry and upset about the fact that they're having to do something. And they're probably not going to do a really good job. And they're probably not going to, they don't really care. And so it's like, we got to look at things in life and, and see, is this appropriate? Have we asked the appropriate person to help us? And really think about that. And in today's show, I'm going to talk a lot more about that, because it's a deep dive. It's about philosophy. It's about, the human condition. It's about psychology of us, of people, of humans. It's about, following through, not following through, like reasons for it. I know that also a lot of people have some very entangled, complex lives, lots of things going on, issues with children, issues with marital situation, stress, anxiety, issues at work, all these things happening all at one time. And other things going on that you probably have no idea. And so, in the grand scheme of things, when somebody's dealing with all these things, it's probably hard to take on other responsibilities, other challenges. And it's also hard to try to find time to help somebody else in their issues when you find yourself basically floundering in your own issues. And one of the things that I realized a long time ago, because this is something that I wanted to figure out, is when people were letting me down, I realized that one, I had to work on my expectations because, expectations are a bitch. You know what I mean? They really are. You don't want to have expectations and have them, basically shot down, right? It's horrible. So you have to work on expectations. And so in my second book, I came out a while back, I talk about how expectations are overrated and really working with that and thinking about how often we have these life expectations of other people, how often we put these high expectations on people outside of ourselves, and how those expectations turn around and bite us in the butt because it is not taken care of. It is not done. Things don't happen. We take it personally. We take it as a personal cut. We take it as a personal vindictive situation. This person meant to do this. They want to hurt me. They want to make fun of me. They want to take me down. They don't really care about me. Whatever. You start creating a false reality. And I don't think that many people just don't do it because they're wanting to mess with you. I really think, honestly, it goes back to people's lives. I feel that many of us, and I speak for myself, and I speak for many of the clients that I work with as well, life is so stressful and there's so much going on and there's so many sides and dynamics to everything that there's not enough time to try to be vindictive. And you don't even want to. What would be the point of being vindictive? I am just a big believer in being positive, being helpful, caring. Hate is just not a word that's really in my vocabulary. I just don't believe that in hate. I don't believe in that. And I know that some people will argue that, but to me, hate takes a lot of effort. Hate and sincere anger takes a lot of effort. And that's just not the direction I want to go. That's just not the direction I want to go. And I think that many of you don't want to go there either. It's like if I, ran a poll, but from everybody that listens to Live Your True Life Perspectives, how many of you would want to start a lawsuit because of anger or resentment or, whatever. Many of you don't want to be in a lawsuit. People don't want to be in lawsuits. I mean, it's horrible. It's painful, right? Just like it's horrible and painful to hate and hold anger. It's like, why do we create this reality? Why do we go after people? Why do we do this type of stuff? Why do we create these types of realities? We don't need to. And that's definitely not who is listening to this show. Quite the opposite. Everybody that's listening to this show, you got your head on. You're really thinking things clearly. But you got a lot on your plate. You got a lot of stress. You got a lot of people, clamoring for your attention. You got a lot of responsibilities. You got a lot of people that need you in your life. And you're just trying to balance things, right? Doesn't that sound like you? You're just trying to balance things. And you know what? Sometimes balancing things can be tough, right? Sometimes balancing things can be overwhelming, but we still get the job done. We're still going to work at it. And so in today's show, I'm going to talk more about, the whole concept of being let down, but then looking on the flip side, what are we doing in our own camp? Where are we at in our own camp? And then asking some really deep questions about the situation, our life, expectations, and how to clearly do what we need to do. Stay tuned, because Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives. Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's show, I'm talking about being let down, the feeling of being let down, how that feels when we're let down by others. and what we can do about it. We have these responsibilities. Everybody listening to this show has all this stuff riding on them. People that are, looking after you, people that you're looking after, people you have to take care of, loads of responsibilities, loads of things to do. And so when you're let down, it really hurts because it's something that you entrusted in another person. You were hoping they could help you. You believed in it. And then you're like, oh, how did this happen? And then instead of seeing it in its normal, realistic light, we usually see it in a lot more stress, anger, resentment. And so on today's show, I'm trying to take some of the anger and resentment out of your life, make your life a lot easier, and we can see things a little more clearly, right? And why does this happen? Why do people let us down? Well, the desire in the moment went away. There was a desire to do it. They wanted to do it. And then all of a sudden the moment went away. And you know what? That same feeling and emotion went away as well. And then reality set in, right? It was like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this. It's going to be awesome. And then they get home and they go to bed. They wake up. Oh, my God, I got all this stuff to do. This is crazy. How am I going to get this to work? And then reality and stress and anxiety set in. And then there you go. And that's something I've worked on really serious in my life is like, am I doing that? Really no matter what situation it's in, no matter if you're around a bonfire, hanging out, having, sangria, I'm going to keep things in mind when somebody asks me about something because I don't want to be that person that says I'm going to do something and I don't do it. I don't want to be looped in that group. I don't want to be put into that group, right? Also, ADD, ADHD, that kind of sort of thing. And that's a big deal, we have this stuff we want to do, but we just can't finish it or we can't tackle it or it seems that we just can't get around to it. And it happens across the board with a lot of people. And so that's something that we need to recognize as well that could be kind of rearing its ugly head as well in a situation when somebody's letting us down from something they said they were going to help us with. What about responsibilities? We all have these responsibilities. We all have things we have to do. We all have, things that happen out of the middle of nowhere that we're like, oh my God, how does this happen? This is crazy. This is crazy. Why is this happening right now? And it happens to the best of us. And that's understandable. But we gotta get a grip around it. Another concept too is the feeling of the need to have to do something. And, that goes back to being able to say no, and that's hard. And that goes back to understanding what our responsibilities are and being able to really, is this my responsibility? Do I feel like I have to do this? Why do I feel like I have to do this? If I feel like I have to do this, why do I have resentment around it? If I feel like I have to do this, why do I feel that way? What is the thing that I have to do? Can other people do this? And then if I do say yes, okay, I'm going to follow through with this. I'm going to take care of it. There's a lot of things going on, but I think in an effort to really understand, it's a good idea to flip the script. What am I doing? How am I acting? Am I stepping up to the plate and taking care of responsibilities? When I say yes, do I show up? If I agree to do something, am I doing it? And that takes a deep dive to really look at yourself honestly and say, yes, I am, or no, I'm not. Because what I've realized, too, is that as long as my side of the road is clean, my side of the street is clean, and we hear this a lot, as long as that's there, I feel okay. It's kind of like, okay, this happened and this person let me down because they couldn't take care of it for whatever reason. I can see it in a different light, but I also don't have any guilt or shame on my side of not stepping up and doing what I said I was going to do. And that's something that we really need to do a checklist on ourselves. Are we following through? When we say we're going to do something, do we follow through with our responsibilities? Do we hold up to our responsibilities? Do we hold up to our responsibilities? Do we do those things? And, in the desire of doing things, do we lose ourselves in the moment? Do we make, plans and take on things that we shouldn't take on? And these are questions we have to think about. So we'll think about that. We're going to think about some other questions here when we return and really talk about this and analyze the situation. So we really understand we can also clean our side of the road, but also see and be able to process this better without taking it so personally. Stay tuned. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Feeling let down by others? People say they're going to do something for you, and they don't follow through? taking it personally, getting upset, having some resentment and anger. It's normal. Doesn't mean it's healthy, but it's normal. So how do we let go of those feelings of resentment and anger? And how do we see through that? And how do we deal with things and process things and get things to work out even then? I mean, because we got to get around it. We got to work around it. We got to find a workaround. We got to communicate. We got to see what's happening. And we also got to there's a benefit of the doubt, but understanding the human condition and psychology and understanding why people do what they do is so important. And we've talked about the desire in the moment, the ADD, the ADHD, the responsibilities, the feeling like you have to do something. And right before the break, I was making the comment about what are we doing in our own life? How are we handling our own life? What are we doing? We need to do a checkup on that. And the first thing that I started working on years ago was not jumping in the desire in the moment to do something. So like in the moment when things were desirable and I was like, woo, this is going to be great. Oh my God, this is so much. I literally stepped back and said, okay, you usually agree to do something in this moment. Some of it you do, some of it you don't. You need to step back. When somebody asks you, are you going to do it? You need to say, hey, I got to really think about it. You know, it sounds like a good idea right now, but let me get back to you tomorrow and we'll kind of go from there. And I realized that is a very, very smart, responsible way of responding. In the moment, you might feel like you have to, but the best thing to do is to say that, because remember, if we agree to do something and then not do it, it's a lot worse than saying, hey, I need to think about this. I can't jump on the bandwagon right now. Let me get back to you. I would also, it's hard to hear that in the moment. And I think hearing maybe and hearing no are things that we don't want to hear, right? But I would much rather hear a maybe from a person that's being honest about their own responsibilities instead of a surefire yes that goes along with zip, zero, nothing. Right? That's a big deal. And I think if you're able to say, hey, maybe, let me look, let me get back to you. Okay, let me do some due diligence. And so when we're not in the heat of the moment where everybody's having a couple of drinks and we're watching the game and everything's fun, I tell you and agree to do that in the moment. Instead of that, let me just take a break, and tomorrow, the next day, I'll get back with you and I'll let you know what I think. That's perfect. And I used to hate hearing that because you're like, why? What do you mean you don't want to do it? I mean, what's wrong? Come on. I mean, we're all friends. We're besties. We're this, we're that. And it's like, well, it's like it actually takes somebody that's more discerning, more responsible, and actually cares more about the friendship to say this, because they're actually thinking logically and wanting to actually do the right thing instead of letting you down. And so if we can take that in on our own life, if we can start doing that in our own life, but I mean, not just saying maybe and then not following up. You know, that's a whole different story, too. That's avoidance. Well, let me get back to you. And then you avoid, ignore. Yeah, not that. We have to have a follow through on the back end. And that can be hard, too, because I know some of you don't want to say no. But isn't it worse not to say no? Isn't it worse to say yes and then to not show up? I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, I feel like this is room for us all to be better humans, all to be better beings, all to be better spirit gods, in our effort to be more clear and direct with people. I think this is really helpful. So think about it. Are you agreeing to things that you don't need to agree to? Are you agreeing things and then not following through? Or you could be the person that agrees to things in the heat of the moment and then you make yourself follow through, but you're angry about it. You have resentment about it. You're pissed off about it. And we don't want that either. Nobody wants somebody, doing something for them that they're pissed off about. I mean, that's the last thing you want. It's like having somebody make you dinner and the whole time they're swearing and cussing, while they're making you dinner. I mean, that's going to make you probably pretty sick. I don't want that. I just don't make dinner. I mean, hell, go order out. I'll make my own dinner. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like thinking about those types of things and putting that in perspective and analyzing that situation and being able to understand that situation clearly. And this is very important stuff to take into consideration. It's very important stuff to understand. When I was talking earlier about expectations are overrated, they are. And so one of the things I've realized is, like, if you think about all the reasons why people say they're going to do something and not, that helps you to offset the expectations. Okay, hey, I know people are not going to follow through. I know that some people aren't because of these reasons. It's not a personal vendetta against me. It's not a personal cut. It's not a, hey, screw you. It's just the way it is. So my expectations are not going to be this high, and then I'm going to be deflated like a popping of a balloon. It's really like, well, hey, Could have happened, didn't happen. And then when it does happen, wow, that's pretty cool. When it does happen, wow, that's awesome. I didn't expect that. And I've realized that the more that I don't expect, the better off I am. The more I don't expect, the better off I am. Because when somebody comes through, they come through. When they don't come through, they don't come through. But I've also realized that the more that I come through, the better I feel. Because I find that we get really angry at people that don't follow through a lot more when we don't follow through either. So we got to make sure our side of the road is clear. But then there's a part where we got to get okay again too, because when we're super following through, we're showing up on time, we're taking responsibility, we're showing up when we say we're going to show up, we're responsible for situations. When we're doing all that, it can be a real letdown when somebody doesn't do something for you. And so we have to also realize that not everybody's in the same place. Not everybody's in the same thinking process. Not everybody's in that same level of responsibilities. And not everybody could listen to this show. Many people couldn't even take in this content right now because it's above their head. It's not even something they're thinking about. They're so stuck in their life right now. They're so stuck in whatever that looks like. They can't even grasp the concept of doing a personal inventory on themselves about whether they're following up with their responsibilities, right? So that's what I'm saying, is that when we get to that point where we go, hey, I would rather be more content. And so that maybe is a great thing. And being able to accept that maybe from others, and even accepting the no, and even asking people, hey, you know what? You don't have to agree to this. Let me know if it's something you want to do or not do. Great. Just let me know. I'm about to move here, and I haven't asked a soul to help me to move, but I've had 3 people offer to help me move, which I thought was really nice. And I said, I really appreciate that. Let me get back to you. I'll let you know if I need help, but I really appreciate you just offering. I have not asked a soul for a reason, because I like to keep my friendships and I can hire a moving company. But at the same time, it's really nice that people offered it. And I even said, you don't have to offer this. I'm okay. And they even came back and said, no, I actually would like to help. And that's cool. And they probably won't. But guess what? As far as, I'm not going to ask them to do anything, but it's cool that they actually cared enough to offer it. And he even came back a second time and said, no, I'm not just saying this out of my theory of feeling like I need to do something for you. It's because I actually care. I know you'd do it for me. Crap. So I think that's very important. I think it's something that we have to look at. The other thing that I'm asking too is, how much of this can we do on our own? There's a lot of things that I think we try to offset or get help from. Is there some stuff we can do on our own? Is there some stuff that we can be proactive? So if somebody let you down, is it something that you could have done? Is it something that you can still do? Question. Is it something that somebody else can help you with? There's a lot of different things to think about. Also, when somebody lets you down, is it really them that could have helped you? Or was that just another, because sometimes people are involved, but are they the right people to be involved? Some people could be the absolute wrong people to be involved. They can be the absolute wrong choice and actually cause more pain and suffering than necessary. And so them not showing up and not doing is a blessing in disguise. Could that be the situation? Also you have to ask yourself, if somebody has let you down over and over and over and over again, what is your real relationship with this person? How do they really see the relationship? How do you see the relationship? Because I think you got to take a step back. One, you're asking for too much, or you're too needy. Or 2, they just don't care. They ain't doing anything for you. So you really have to look at both sides of the coin, what's really happening. And if someone's constantly letting you down or whatever, you really need to probably take a step back and analyze, because it's either they do that across the board or this relationship's not that important to them, and you need to stop barking up that same tree. It's like you're trying to prove a point. Okay, if somebody has let you down over and over again, just don't prove a point. It's not a big deal. Just move on in your life. It's like, come on. You don't have to get all the evidence to know something. It's like in life. It's like if you feel something and you've seen it, you feel it, you see it, you feel it, and it's constant. And why do you have to keep going back, try to figure it out even more? It's like eventually at some point in time, you got to let it go. And then that person may come around and they may not. But also, are you asking too much from them? Are you putting too much, pressure on them? Or quite the opposite? And this is a question. Usually it's a two-way street. Sometimes it's not. And then you have to think about when to move on. There's some people out there that you got to move on from. You can't expect anything from. They're not going to be able to provide you anything. Okay? And that's fine. They're not going to be able to provide you anything. And so you have to let that go. And it's funny because there's some people that have, that I have let go that I still reach out to and I still send nice messages because I care, because I honestly love them, even though I don't love their actions. I don't respect their actions, but I still care about them, but they don't do anything back for me. And I could sit there and say they haven't done anything for me. That's true. But you know what? I try not to see it that way. I actually work to be a better person than I was yesterday. And that can be really hard when somebody is not nice with you, not pleasant to you, and you wish them a happy birthday, or you go out of your way and say, hey, congratulations, or whatever, and you don't get a response back because you know what? They are not there yet. They're not at that place yet. They haven't gotten to that spiritual awakening yet to be able to do that. And it might take a long time, and it may take multiple lifetimes for them to get there. And it doesn't matter if they're 20 years older than you. It doesn't matter. You have to begin to see things relatively and understand, hey, this stuff happens. And if you want to, to me, it's like I'm going to step up and take care of my responsibilities no matter what. If I agree to do something, I'll do it. But we have to really realize when to move on from depending on anybody else. Depending on others, you really have to ask yourself, should I even be putting that on this person? Is this relationship even capable of that? And then if it's not capable of that, I mean, how much time are you spending with this? How close are you? And you probably need to take a step back and really analyze what true friendship is. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because I think a lot of times we give people carte blanche on things. You can be an acquaintance with somebody. And that's totally cool. You can see somebody occasionally, but when you're a real friend of somebody, you're a real friend of somebody. Also, on the other side of the coin, when is the right time to wait and give somebody the benefit of the doubt? I think that time exists a lot of times too. And communication is key. Communication is key, because if we communicate with somebody, not in a negative way, not in an accusatory way, but hey, I know you said you were to take care of that. You don't have to. It would be great if you did. I get it. But you know what? Let's talk. And if you don't want to do it, that's fine. But, why did you say you want to do it? I'm just asking. And having those deep conversations and being able to communicate at a deep level is so powerful and so amazing. Because you finally get to have deep conversations with people. You might not always agree with what they say, but heck, we're different people. But if you can deep dive into that, if you can deep dive into the conversations, have those deep conversations, consult about those deep conversations, ask the questions. Those are the things that really go a long way to us even learning more about ourselves, but learning more about the other people around us. And those things are very valuable. So, when we're feeling let down, why do we feel let down? Are we taking it personally? We got to stop taking it personally. 1. 2, are we letting anybody down? That's a big question. If we're letting somebody down, we need to clean our side of the street. We need to make sure we're taking care of business. That is really, really important. Because all of a sudden we realize when I know that I'm doing the right thing, I know I'm doing the right thing. When I know that I'm working to be better than I was yesterday, that's a good feeling. And that makes me feel good about progress in my life. And that makes me feel better about who I am. And that's what's so powerful. And, it's interesting because I've also realized that having hate and having anger and having these feelings, it's not good. It's not healthy. It's not a good thing. It's not a powerful thing. It just brings us down. And so it's better just to kind of let go of some of these real kind of low vibrational emotions and let people, it is what it is. And I think we also find out more of just who we are and who we really connect with better. It's about who do we really connect with better. I mean, there's billions of people out there. You can connect with lots of people. Who are who do you really connect with? Who do you really understand? And who really understands you? And that's really what it boils down to, right? I mean, that's really the crux of it all. That's it. Who do you really connect with? Who do you connect with? And this is some powerful stuff, and it's some stuff that we really need to kind of think about it and engage in and understand, and it's powerful. It's powerful. And when we're able to understand that, we're better able to understand our lives, the people in our lives, but we're also able to understand any sort of issues that we're dealing with. And that is what we need to get to. That is the direction of where we need to go. So when I return, I'm going to be giving some more nuggets of wisdom, some thoughts to think about, some things that you can analyze, and that will be helpful for us to really process this and be able to not feel so personally hurt when somebody lets us down. Stay tuned. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time. You know it. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
Get in here. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. On today's show, I've been talking about being let down by others and dealing with it, how to process it, how to deal with it, how to understand it, and how to move on. I think it's very interesting when we think about the concept, we've let down others, they've let us down, and really working to clean our side of the road, clean our side of the street to make sure that we're not letting other people down. I think that goes a long way. I also believe that, through this process, we learn more about ourselves. It makes us really think about what we're doing. It puts the burden back on us to really analyze, are we coming to the table in our best form? Are we coming to the table in our best version of ourselves? And that's very helpful as well. But also looking, is there some things that we can be doing on our own to take care of things that we need to take care of? Are we sometimes asking other people to help us when we really don't need their help? But I don't want to just be that person that does everything and has no help from others. That's definitely not what I'm advising. But I am advising that we start looking at that, analyzing the situation, and making sure that, we're taking care of what we need to take care of. We're coming to the plate and dealing with things, but also we're coming in our most powerful version of ourselves. Sometimes I believe that we underestimate our ability. We question our ability. So making sure that we're empowering ourselves, sometimes pushing ourselves out of the comfort zone, having ourselves out of that comfort zone and actually saying, okay, these are things that I don't really understand how to do, or it's not the easiest of things for me to do, but I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to practice, and I'm still going to work at it to be the best version of myself. And I think also, analyzing these relationships and also analyzing the things we need. Are there things that we can come to the table? Are there some things that we can spread our wings with and really understand better and to really develop a sense of self even better than we were before? And those are the things that we want to question. Those are the things that we want to analyze. Those are the personal things that we can start thinking about ourselves. It's not just, why did somebody let me down, but have I let somebody down in the past? How did it affect me? Why did I do that? Oh, well, I did it because I said I was going to do something. I hadn't thought about it completely all the way through. And instead I should have said a maybe, or I should have said, hey, let me get back to you and let me try to process that, but I didn't. And so there's a lot of things about maybe being people pleasing or maybe codependent in that action. I want to make everybody happy around me. I want everybody to like me. That type of thing is also something that we have to analyze as well. If you haven't already, please check out our YouTube channel. Go to YouTube and put in Ashley Burgess, Life Coach Ashley Burgess. Our channel will pop up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel, because if you subscribe to the channel, you get, alerts to let you know that we have new video content out. You can also be a member of the channel as well for, just really cool content, like long-form explanation content on things that really go a deep dive into psychological issues, just really kind of analyzing a situation really in depth so we can really understand it, because it takes real in-depth conversations to really understand things. It takes real in-depth conversations to really be able to wrap your brain around something as well. And it's really dedicated to really having that deep dive conversation, not just easy kind of surfacey. It's about that deep dive conversation to really get the answers that we need. Also, check out the website, ashleyburgess.com, ashleyburgess.com. We also have Facebook, Ashley Burgess. Check out our Facebook, be a part of the Facebook. Also, Instagram as well, and TikTok. So we're all part of those as well. So join the family, connect. We'll follow back, and definitely, any sort of comments and questions or thoughts, we'd love to hear from you as well. So in the meantime, there's a reason behind everything. Sometimes it's a great reason, sometimes it's not. Sometimes we have to look within ourselves to understand how we got there. Sometimes it's about really analyzing our own dedication, our own determination, and our own way of thinking. And we can all go our own way and do our own thing, and in the process meet other people that are going their own way and doing their own thing, and we have something in common. And that's what's special about life, is finding those folks in common, that you have things in common, connecting with those people, establishing, deep friendships, and really being able to cultivate those and harvest those in a powerful way where you can actually, be happy and really care about other people, care about their success, be the cheerleader and really feel good about that. And I think once you get to that level, it's like life becomes a lot easier in the fact that you really care about other people. You're doing the best you can, and you're trying to be at the best level of yourself possible in order to be that way. And that's really powerful. So stay tuned. We got more shows coming up for you. Lots of things coming out, more interviews coming up, more video content on YouTube. And if you have any thoughts or questions, go to ashleyburgess.com. Click on that contact page and send me a message. And I'll get back to you in a few days with a response. And appreciate you listening. Please share with family and friends or anybody that you feel has been let down. And also, this can really help to go a long way to soothing those feelings, but to making someone feel better and analyzing and realizing there's a reason for it, and it wasn't just something against me. Stay tuned. More coming up. Thanks for listening to the show. Please share it with others. Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back in. I'll be back this time, well, you know it, in 3 shakes.